everybody, Timmy Flyers guy here reminded you to check out the next season of Timmy's Nostalgic Showcase, coming exclusively to the Timmy Flyers Guy YouTube channel, Saturday, September 5th. So get ready for some more nostalgic stuff coming to Timmy's Nostalgic Showcase exclusively on the Timmy Flyers Guy YouTube channel, coming September 5th. Coming Saturday, September 5th, to the Timmy Flyers Guy YouTube channel. So get ready to travel back to the 1980s, the 1990s, the 2000s, and more as Timmy's Nostalgia Showcase makes its return on Saturday, September 5th. Hey everybody, it's me, Timmy Flyers Guy, and welcome to my Philadelphia Flyers preseason and regular season schedule breakdown for the Philadelphia Flyers. Starting off with the preseason, on September 21st, the Flyers will have a matchup against the Washington Capitals. Now let me check my calendar here, see what the date is for that. Okay, here I go. Checking my date right now. For the month of September for the preseason. So let's see here. On Monday, September 21st, it'll be a 7 p.m. matchup in the state capital, Washington, D.C., at 7 p.m. Then, on the following Tuesday, September 22nd, the Flyers will have a matchup in Boston with the Boston Bruins at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, September 22nd. And then on Thursday, September 24th, then on Friday, September 24th at 7 p.m. On Thursday, September 24th at 7 p.m., they'll have a home matchup with the Boston Bruins, and they will conclude their preseason with a matchup against the Washington Capitals on Saturday, September 26th at 5 p.m. So that is the preseason schedule. Now we get into the regular season schedule for the 2026-2027 Philadelphia Flyers regular season. Before I do that, I'm going to take a quick commercial break, and I will come back, and I will be doing a breakdown of the 2026-2027 Philadelphia Flyers schedule. done. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Okay, now we get into the regular season schedule for the Philadelphia Flyers. And guess what? The NHL has decided to make the entire season and maybe 4-game season for every single NHL team this season, which means the season will be starting on Wednesday, September 30th, and the Flyers will open up the regular season on Wednesday, September 30th, against the Pittsburgh Penguins. The team of the Flyers eliminated from the first round of the 2026 Stanley Cup playoffs. And now on Thursday, the Philadelphia Flyers will travel to New Jersey as they face off. Will travel to North Jersey as they face off with the New Jersey Devils at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, October 1st. On Wednesday, October 1st at 7 p.m. Then, they'll have a matchup at home. And the Jets will have 2 matchups at home against the Carolina. They'll have a matchup at home against the Carolina Hurricanes, the 2026 Stanley Cup champions, defending Stanley Cup champions, the Carolina Hurricanes, on Saturday, October 3rd at 7 p.m. And then they will be on the road for three games. 1 game on Monday, October 5th, against the Tampa Bay Lightning at 7 p.m. And then we'll have a matchup on Wednesday, October 8th, with the Ottawa Senators. That'll be a 7 p.m. matchup. And then they will conclude their road trip with a game against the Boston Bruins on Saturday, October 10th. That'll be a 1 p.m. afternoon start. And then the Flyers will have 2 home games, and then a road game, and then 2 more games at home. On Tuesday, October 11th, at 7 p.m. against the defending Stanley Cup champions, the Carolina Hurricanes, at 7 p.m. And then they'll have a matchup on Tuesday, October 13th, against the Seattle Kraken at 7 p.m. And then they will head to Detroit on Wednesday, October 15th at 7 p.m. And then they will come home for a Saturday night game on Saturday, October 11th at 7 p.m. Or Saturday, October 17th against the Ottawa Senators at 7 p.m. And then they will have a matchup with the Colorado Avalanche on Monday, October 19th at 7 p.m. And then they will travel to Buffalo for a Wednesday night matchup against the Buffalo Sabres at 7:30 p.m. And then on Saturday, October 24th, they will have a 1 p.m. matchup with Cover Gauthier and the Anaheim Ducks That'll be a 1 p.m. start. And then we will have 2 games to conclude the month of October. One at home, one on the road. On Tuesday, October 27th, against the Columbus Blue Jackets. There'll be a home game at 7 p.m. and then they will end the month of October with a 7:30 matchup against the Washington Capitals on Wednesday, October 28th at 7:30. And then we're getting to the month of November. And on Sunday, November 1st, Philadelphia Flyers will have a 4 p.m. matchup with the Utah Mammoth. And then on Tuesday, November 3rd, they will have a 7 p.m. matchup with the Minnesota Wild. And then on Wednesday, the hell am I looking at here? Okay. Sorry. And then on, hold on a second. Okay, and then they will have a matchup on Thursday on the road. It'll be your MSG on Thursday, November 5th, against the New York Rangers at 7 p.m. And then the Flyers will be on the road for a while, starting off with on Sunday, November 8th, an 8 p.m. game against the Calgary Flames. And then on Tuesday, they travel to Vancouver on Tuesday, October 9th. That'll be a 10:30 p.m. start for the Flyers Vancouver game. And then the Flyers will travel to Edmonton to face off against the Edmonton Oilers on Wednesday, November 11th. That'll be a 10 p.m. start. And then on Saturday, November 14th, we'll have a 7 p.m. matchup with the Columbus Blue Jackets. And then they will come home for a brief 2 home games. One on Sunday, November 15th against the Edmonton Oilers. That'll be a 7:30 p.m. start. And then on Tuesday, November 17th, 7 p.m. matchup with the Buffalo Sabres. 7 p.m. matchup. And then they'll have 3 home games coming up after that. One on Thursday, October 19th, against the Ottawa Senators. And then on Saturday, we'll have a 7 p.m. matchup on Saturday, November 21st with the Montreal Canadiens. And then they'll have a matchup with the Washington Capitals on Tuesday. Is that Tuesday or Wednesday? Hold on. Oh, Wednesday, November 25th at 7 p.m. against the Washington Capitals. Then we'll have 2 brief home games, Friday and Saturday. On Friday, November 27th, a 3 p.m. matchup with Vancouver Canucks. And then on Friday, November 28th against the New York Islanders at 7:30 p.m. And then it'll end the month of November on on Monday. Monday, November 30th, against the Toronto Maple Leafs at 7:30 p.m. That'll be on the road in Toronto. Then we get into the month of December, my favorite month. On Thursday, December 3rd, we'll have a 7 p.m. matchup with the New York Islanders. And then on Saturday, December 5th, an 8 p.m. matchup with the Minnesota Wild at 8 p.m. And then they will have a matchup on Tuesday. That's right, Tuesday, December 8th, my birthday, against the Winnipeg Jets at 8 p.m. That'll be a road game as well. And then they'll have that. They'll have 4 game homestand after that. One on Friday. No, Friday. One on Friday, December 11th, 7 p.m. start against the Calgary Flames. And then they will have a matchup on Monday, December 14th, against the Florida Panthers at 7 p.m. And then they will have a Wednesday night matchup with the New York Rangers on Wednesday, December 16th at 7:30 against the New York Rangers. And then they will have a matchup on Friday. That's right, Friday, December 18th, 7 p.m. game against the Detroit Red Wings. And that will conclude their 4-game homestand. And then they'll go back on the road. And then they'll go back home. First on Sunday, December 20th, a 1 p.m. start in Boston against the Boston Bruins. And then on Monday, December 21st, against the Columbus Blue Jackets at 7 p.m. And then they will, and then they will conclude the month of December with a matchup against the Chicago Blackhawks on Sunday, December 27th, 3 p.m. in Chicago. And then on Tuesday, December 29th, a 9:40 game against the Seattle Kraken. And that will conclude the month of December. And now we get into the second half of the season. Hopefully the Flyers have a good second half this year. So we have three road games to start the month of January. The first matchup will be on Friday, January 1st, 4 p.m. game against the San Jose Sharks. Then on Sunday, January 3rd, an 8 p.m. start against the Anaheim Ducks. And then on Monday, January 4th, they'll go to LA to face against the LA Kings at 10 p.m. And then they'll have a home game, a road game, and then a home game, and then 2 more road games. On Thursday, January 7th will have a 7 p.m. start against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And then they will travel to Toronto for the second half of a home and home on Saturday, just January 9th at 7 p.m. against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And then I'll have a Sunday, 7:30 p.m. matchup on Sunday, January 10th at home. 7:30 start on January 10th against the Chicago Blackhawks. And then they'll have 2 road games coming up, a home game and then another road game. Hold on a second. On Tuesday, January 17th, we'll have an 8 p.m. start against the Nashville Predators. And then on Friday, January 15th, we'll travel to Carolina to face off against the Carolina Hurricanes at 7 p.m. And then on Saturday, they will come back home for the matchup against the Montreal Canadiens on Saturday, January 16th at 7 p.m. And then on social media, and then after that, they'll be on the road. They'll be on the road as they face off against the New York Rangers. The New York Rangers on Tuesday, January 19th against the Rangers. That'll be a 7 p.m. start. And then they'll have 4 home games come up first. On Thursday, January 21st, that'll be a 7 p.m. start against Nashville Predators. And then on Saturday, January 23rd, a 7 p.m. start, 7:30 start against the New Jersey Devils. And then on Tuesday, January 26th, we'll have a 7 p.m. matchup with the Florida Panthers. And then on Thursday, January 20th, 7 p.m. start against the LA Kings. And then on Saturday, they will have a 1 p.m. matchup on Saturday, January 30th, against the Winnipeg Jets at 1 p.m. And then they will end the month of January on Sunday. Hold on a second. On Sunday, January 31st, 12 p.m. matchup with the Pittsburgh Penguins. And then we get into the month of February. And starting off February, there will be a matchup on Wednesday, February 3rd at 7:30 p.m. matchup at home with the Tampa Bay Lightning. And then they will play on Saturday, February 13th at 7:30 p.m. start with the New Jersey Devils. And then on Monday, February 15th of an 8 p.m. matchup on the road with the St. Louis Blues. And then on Thursday, February 18th and 8 p.m. start with the Dallas Stars. And then they'll have a Saturday, 12 p.m. start against the New York Rangers. On Saturday, February 20th. And then they'll have two home games. And then we'll play with a road game and a home game at the end of the month. First up, first up, on Monday, February 22nd, they will have a 1 p.m. matchup against the Montreal Canadiens. Assume that is more over. King Davies just have off that day. And then, on Wednesday, February 24th, they'll have a 7 p.m. matchup with the Buffalo Sabres at home. And then they'll have a matchup. They'll have two games. One on the road on Friday, February 26th at 7 p.m. against the New York Rangers. And then they will come home for a match. They will come home with a 7 p.m. matchup on Saturday, February 27th against the San Jose Sharks to end the month of February. And let's see how much time I have left in this video. Hold on a second. Hold on, I'm looking here. Let's see. Okay, I got plenty of time left on the video here. Okay, now we get into the month of March. Starting off the month of March, Flyers will have 3 home games. A 3-game homestand. First on Tuesday, March 3rd, a 7 p.m. matchup with the Vegas Golden Knights, the Stanley Cup finalists from the 2026 Stanley Cup Finals. And then they will have a matchup on Friday, March 5th, 7 p.m. matchup with the Dallas Stars. And then on Sunday, March 7th, they will have a 1 p.m. matchup with the St. Louis Blues. And then they'll have 3 road games coming up, a 3-game road trip. On Tuesday, March 9th, they'll travel to Colorado for a 9 p.m. matchup with the Colorado Avalanche. And then on Wednesday, March 11th, Thursday, March 11th, a 10 p.m. matchup with the Vegas Golden Knights. And then on Saturday, March 13th, a 5 p.m. matchup with the Utah Mammoth. And then they'll have 2 home games, and then 4 road games after that. First up on Tuesday, March 16th, against the Detroit Red Wings at 7 p.m. They will have a matchup. Then they will have a matchup on Wednesday, March 11th at 7 p.m. with the Boston Bruins. And then I'll have four home games coming up. Four road games coming up. We'll have one game on the road against the New York Islanders on Saturday, March 20th at 3 p.m. And then on Tuesday, March 23rd, we'll have a 7 p.m. matchup with New Jersey Devils. And then on Thursday, they'll have a matchup against the Tampa Bay Lightning on Thursday, March 15th. March 15th at 7 p.m. And then they will conclude the road trip on Saturday, March 27th, a 6 p.m. matchup with the Florida Panthers. And they will conclude the month of March on Tuesday, March 30th, a 7 p.m. matchup with the Pittsburgh Penguins. And then we get into the final month of the season, and that's the month of April. Flyers will have only 2 home games in April and 3 road games in April. Starting off on Thursday, April 1st, a 7 p.m. matchup at home with the Washington Capitals, and then they will travel to Pittsburgh on Saturday, April 3rd at 8 p.m. And then 3 games left, 2 road games, and 1 home game to conclude the season on Monday, March 5th, a 2 p.m. matchup with the Carolina Hurricanes in Carolina. And then they will travel to Columbus on Thursday, April 8th, against the Columbus Blue Jackets. The against Carolina. Against Carolina. I said April 5th, if you can, okay. And then they will conclude the regular season with a 12 p.m. matchup on Saturday, April 10th, my mom's birthday, at 12 p.m. against the Washington Capitals. And just like that, this has been my breakdown of the regular season, the Philadelphia Flyers preseason schedule and the Philadelphia Flyers 2026-2027 Philadelphia Flyers regular season schedule. I cannot wait for that first official puck drop. The first official puck drop on September 30th, when the Philadelphia Flyers start the season with the Battle of Pennsylvania against the Pittsburgh Penguins. I cannot wait for that first puck drop. I'm excited, I'm fired up, and I can't wait for September 30th, the opening puck drop at 7:30 p.m. The arena will be rocking, and the fans will be celebrating another year of Flyers hockey. Guys, thank you for joining me in this episode, and I will see you guys for the first preseason game, first episode of Flyers Pregame Report, for the first official preseason game, and then I will see you after the preseason concludes on September 30th. I'm fired up, I'm ready, and I can't wait. Let's go, Flyers! Let's go, Flyers!